welcome. I'm Jade and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. This is the booktube edition. There's also an authortube edition I do plan on doing. I will link Curious Cat's video down below, which I'd also like to give a shot, but this one is going to be booktube specific and is one of my go-to favorite videos of the year. One more thing is that I, in previous years, have done this tag backwards because I don't like starting with the best book I've read so far of the year. I feel like that's beginning with the finale. So I'm going to be starting with question 13 and just calling it question 1. That's all you would need to know about that. So let's go ahead and get this started, starting with question 13. Okay, so the first question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I have several books that I want to tackle in this year, and I've actually read quite a few of them from my 25 and 25 video. However, there are some that are very much so on my mind as ones I would like to read, and a couple that didn't make the list originally. One of the top ones on the list that I'm hoping to get to, Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, and this is the third and final installment in the Emily Wilde series. Emily Wilde is a scholar who studies fairies, and her counterpart Wendell go on these adventures, and throughout this trilogy they've had one goal majorly in mind while also solving these minor like fairy folklore mysteries, and it's all kind of coming to a head, and I'd really love to finish that trilogy to have it said and done. It's very light academia and I love reading it. I think summertime is a good time to read it as well. Another one would be Lucy Undyne, but not just Lucy Undyne. I would like to read a whole bunch of vampire books, probably obviously in autumn, and Lucy Undyne is one that's at the top of my list. I'm also looking to read the original book Carmilla as well as other versions of Carmilla's story just because I am unfamiliar with it. I read one book last year, I'm blanking on the name, but this is what it looks like. It's very popular and I really enjoyed it, but I felt like I was missing out on the original story, so I'd like to go back and do that. Another reading vlog I have in my head is I would like to try different romance books with different like spice levels. So for example, Quicksilver is one that a lot of people rave about, and while it doesn't sound necessarily up my alley, it doesn't sound like it's not up my alley. Some of the people I enjoy so much really like are obsessively in love with it, and I also think the fan art is really cool. And then I thought I'd give some like sweeter romance a try, like Love and Other Champagne Problems by Sarah Sutton. I really enjoy Sarah Sutton's content on AuthorTube, and I won this as kind of like a competition, so this is the special edition, and I'd love to give it a try. And then I also was gifted the Priest series trilogy, which is by Sierra Simone, who I know to be very spicy, but again, highly praised as an author, so I think I want to make like a video where I try different romance books. And then finally, I am perpetually behind. I still need to finish. I'm 50% of the way through, but I still need to finish A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. This is one of our Draconathon books of the past. I have a dragon book club that I co-host with my friend Soleil. We are on to a different book. We have 2 months to read each book, which is so totally reasonable and manageable. I'm 50% of the way through this one. We have moved on to Black Leviathan, which is of course another dragon book, but this one is a crossover between Moby Dick and dragons. So remove whale, insert dragon is essentially what this story is, and I haven't started it yet, but it sounds really fun and really cool, and I have to finish this one first. This book is about a dragon linguist who is caught up in a war and is doing dragon translation. However, she's actually doing so under duress as her family is being held prisoner and she's working for the non-dragon side. Second question, what is the most beautiful book you've purchased in the first half of the year? I have 2, but really I only have 1. I will say all of the Illumicrate books I get are really beautiful and it's hard to narrow them down. This one, Water Moon, is absolutely gorgeous. I love looking at it. There's so much to look at with it. It just keeps going. Just a gorgeous book. However, oh my god, wait, hold on. Before I however this book, because let's give it a moment. However, as gorgeous as this book is, I get a certain thrill at seeing Sword Heart because I've been waiting to have this book physically for so long, and this is the new edition by T. Kingfisher. I think most all of T. Kingfisher's books are kind of getting a facelift, and a lot of them really needed it. I was fine with the original cover, but this one fits the tone so well. I absolutely love this book, and I've been waiting to have it physically. And the sword that is engraved on it is really detailed. I'm very, very happy with this book. So I've picked this book up more times and just stared at it, but I've also read it before. I haven't read Watermoon yet, so maybe I'll feel the same way about Watermoon. What is a book that has made you happy? I have a lot of books that have made me happy this year, but there's just one clear-cut answer to this, and it is the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. I'm going to hold up the most recent installment, Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This just came out. I've been waiting so many years for this. I'm halfway through. It's so worth it. I feel so happy reading this. I'm also distressed because of the things that are happening, but there's just something about these books that fill me with so much comfort and joy, and the topics that they're talking about, just a home run of a series so far. Every single book has been 5 stars for me. The other books are too high up, and I just finished reading all 3 of them in preparation for this one. I have a vlog eventually coming out where I'm reading those, and then I get to this one. I'm so far behind, guys. I'm very sorry. This is also the UK edition. I had been eyeing the UK edition, but I had already had the American covers. I'm going to just buy the UK editions. I no longer have that same connection to those after seeing these, because this just fits the tone. It's so sparkly in person. It's just the right amount of vibrant purple. I'm really impressed by how much more this captures of the story. It's just so much better, and I bought this one because I was impatient for it to come out in the US, and I was immediately happier for it. A quick, brief, shallow synopsis of this book is that a girl named Morrigan is said to be a cursed child and that she's going to die on Eventide on her 11th birthday. However, someone called Jupiter North swoops in and rescues her and takes her to a neighboring kingdom called Nevermore, where she competes in trials for citizenship. This has, again, a lot of depth. There's so much found family aspects in this. It crushes me how much beauty and love and care is put into every single line and moment into this series. I could just go on, and I'm sorry if you've heard me go on and on. It probably feels like I go on and on about this, but I won't stop. I cannot stop. I will not stop talking about these books, and I cannot believe I only have 50% more of this left, because I don't know how I'm going to manage having to wait for the next one again. That was excruciating, but so far well worth it. What is a book that made you cry? What an antagonistic question. I don't think I've cried at a book this year. I cried a lot like towards the end of the year last year, but that might just be a me thing. I don't know. I feel like I have not cried this year. If you caught me during a vlog crying, let me know. But I did just tear up in my most recent vlog. It wasn't necessarily because of this book, Wild Magic by Tamara Pierce. It's part of her larger series, but I did a Tamara Pierce writing vlog where I wrote like my favorite author and did her writing routine, and I was touching kind of on what she means to me and what her books meant to me growing up, and I read the first chapter of this while talking about it, and I did tear up. So I guess that one could kind of count. Who are some of your newest favorite characters? I am going to say Elisa from This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi, as well as Cyrus from this same series. I really loved them as characters. I thought that they were very fun, dynamic, interesting. I loved their banter. I found myself rooting for them. This follows Elisa, who is a Jinn, and she is actually Jinn royalty that has had to go into hiding because her people were colonized, and there is a prophecy saying that she is going to lead them back into their strength and power. The Jinn are very powerful next to the Clay, which are like mortal people, I would say like human, and they have been ruling for most of Elisa's life. She is working as a servant. However, the Prince of the Clay sees Elisa being attacked in the street, and she absolutely bodies her assailant, like just takes him out, and the prince thinks that she is a spy, and the two start to come together, and there's just a really interesting storyline. It's very court politics heavy, and the ending just sent me into a tailspin where I ended up binge reading the next 2 books in the series. And then another couple of characters that I really adored was Yadriel and Hurion from The Cemetery Boys. I just finished this. There's gonna be a vlog. I'm absolutely ruining it for you guys. I'm so sorry. A vlog is eventually coming out where I read this and other queer books. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I loved it. It was adorable. I've been told to read this book for years. I finally read it. Y'all were right. Everyone was right. Everyone who has ever put this book in my hands was correct. It was really fun, really cute. I just enjoyed myself while reading it, and I really enjoyed these 2 characters. I thought that they just had such sweet friendship that like shyly bloomed into something else, and I was honestly kind of torn up the entire time reading it because one of them is a ghost. The quick plot is that Yadriel is a brujo, and he is trying to prove himself to the rest of his coven because he is transgender, and he's not being realized by the rest of his family as a member of the brujos. house, they are still trying to place him with the Brujas. And then after a family member dies and he goes to go discover what happened to them, he's trying to prove himself while also trying to solve a second murder that might have happened on the same night. Very good, very fun, and very easy to love characters. Newest fictional crush. I got fictional crushes, but I'm trying to think of new ones. Ones that you guys don't know I'm obsessed with. Okay, I got two. This is four, but I got two. This is a weird one. The River Ganga. I just thought she was hot. She was a flawed character, like the gods and goddesses are, but like I just loved her presence. I loved reading from her perspective because she was just so godlike. I don't know. Something about it got me. I just thought she was very powerful and very cool. Love very powerful, very cool women, I guess, especially if they're immortal and mess people up. But yeah, she was the River Ganga who was part of the sky but got brought down to earth, and this is her story, her watching wars and histories happen. She has several mortal children, but she sees this as a curse placed upon them to suffer. So there is a content warning for her trying to drown them in order to turn them back into gods, but it also follows one of her sons and his politics throughout the kingdom, and I just thought it was really interesting and compelling. But I did have a couple moments, especially her like opening, where I was just like, hot. I will also go ahead and say Cyrus from This Woven Kingdom, mostly in the second and third book, but like he got me. He's a type and I'm here for it. I'm here for a lot of different people, but I was there for them. New favorite author. I should just continue to hold this up. I can't say that she's a new favorite author, but I'm really enjoying her and I'm going to be picking her up again in the future. I didn't think I was going to really gravitate towards Tahara Mafi because I knew about her other trilogy, which just didn't ever pull me in or entice me. I didn't know anything about this series, and as soon as I read her writing, it's so gorgeous, breathtakingly so. Every line was like dripping gold off the page. So I would love to study her writing. I definitely really enjoyed her writing, and I will be picking up what she writes in the future and looking into more books that she's written. But in case it wasn't acknowledged, Ava Reid is definitely a favorite author for me and a new favorite. I think I have most all of her backlist. She has two recent books I haven't read yet, but I plan on reading. I loved Jupiter and Thorn. I loved The Wolf and the Woodsman. I think this was my first Ava Reid book I ever read, and it was amazing. And then I had so much fun reading A Study in Drowning, but this one took me out. Lady Macbeth just took me out. What just spectacular writing. I was really impressed, and I just figured out after some point that I think I must be an Ava Reid fan. Is there a book author crush? Can I have one of those? Because Tamsin Muir and Ava Reid. What was your biggest surprise? It wasn't actually This Woven Kingdom. I thought I was going to like This Woven Kingdom. I didn't think that Starling House by Alex E. Harrow was going to be up my alley, but I really enjoyed this. I read the first chapter during Triad Chapter Tag, and then I was so compelled by the main character that I continued reading. This was just a really cool book, and I loved the atmosphere. It was easy to read. This is the Illumicrate edition. Here's it without it. And yeah, it took me by surprise. I was expecting to probably DNF this. No such case. Oh, I have 2 minutes on this camera. Okay, hold on 1 second. Why can't I count? What are my fingers doing? What is your biggest disappointment? Some people might think that'd be Grady Hendrix's Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. That actually met expectations at a 2.5. It really just solidified that Grady Hendrix isn't for me. And while I was disappointed that that's true, it wasn't a disappointing book because I really went into it going, okay, this is my last attempt here. I ended up doing a live show with Books and Lala, kind of like got on a soapbox and then peaced out. It was really fun. I loved getting to meet Kayla from Books and Lala and then reading this book. That doesn't really fit the essence of this question, which is a book I had higher expectations for and they fell short. Unfortunately, I have to give this up to Blood of the Old Kings by Sung Il Kim. This is another dragon book, and I read so many dragon books. There's gonna be some hits, there's gonna be some misses. Unfortunately, this one was neither. It was just flat for me. Thought it was going to be amazing, then it was just okay, and that those hurt. This has necromancy and dragons, and the opening scene, I was completely awestruck by it, and then it just kind of went downhill as far as being invested in the characters. I can't even really tell you essentially what the plot is of any of these characters because they just kind of felt like they were just getting from point A to point B, and I didn't feel their motivations or their goals. There was one character that I felt had a lot of drive and ambition, and I felt her character on page and I was invested in her. It didn't even stick with me well enough to give you a proper synopsis. What's this say here? What did I read? Blood of the Old Kings begins an epic adventure in which three strangers journey through the vast empire. See, like, one of them is mostly in town the whole time, and the other person is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and the other one's in a war. Is that true? Is that what's happening? That uses the power of dead wizards. Oh, yep, that's true. Powered by the corpses of sorcerers, the Emperor has conquered the world. It claims to have brought peace and stability to its conquered lands, but some see the peace for what it is, a lie. That's true in a sense, but I feel like we never actually got past that. It goes into the other characters and explains what their character journeys are. Peace is a lie. I don't know. I didn't feel anything, obviously. Next, I have my computer up because I have some tabs saved. What is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? I understand that this implies one. I have it narrowed down. I'm reading Silverborn right now, which is my most anticipated release of all time, of any year. After I'm done with that, Snake Eater by T. Kingfisher. I will read any T. Kingfisher book. T. Kingfisher, instant buy author for me. I have a vlog where I read a whole bunch of T. Kingfisher books and kind of categorize them, say where I'm at in the series and where I plan on going, but I will link that down below and up above. Another one is The Everlasting. This is by Alex E. Harrow, author of The Starling House, and now she's on my radar and of high interest to me. For Snake Eater, it says, in an isolated desert town, a young woman seeking a fresh start is confronted with ancient gods, malevolent supernatural forces, and eccentric neighbors. A witty, horror-tinged fantasy perfect for fans of Sylvia Morena Garcia and Rachel Harrison. I'm a fan of all of these things. Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow is following a very kind of niche trend that's happening right now with like lady nights, but it's a very specific, I don't know, like almost gothic vibe for lady nights. If you've watched my Tamara Pierce vlog, you know I am a fan of lady nights. I love knights. Lady nights? Also a thing for me. The Everlasting says a reluctant lady knight and a not-so-heroic historian will fight through time and space to rewrite their tragic fates and finally reveal the truth hidden beneath the greatest legend ever told. It sounds really good, and after reading Starling House, I didn't even think Southern Gothic was in my wheelhouse, and it became in my wheelhouse. This is already in my wheelhouse. We're gonna roll. Within that same rolling wheelhouse, we have The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino, and it says, love, loyalty, sacrifice. Brave Flynn has dedicated her life to her mage, Kier. She will be his blade on the battlefield, his healer and protector. The deep well of raw power inside of her is Kier's to use. Gray would do anything for Kier, be anything for him, if he would only ask. The angst and the lady night of it all. I'm going to do an updated video of the books coming out in 2025. I did the first half of the year, but those books are all about out now, and there's a lot more to fill in. But I have 2.5, 3 videos that I'm editing right now. I'm just super far behind. The summer is going to be great, but this sounds too amazing not to bring up. The cover, all of it, all of it. So those are my top 3. What are some new releases that you haven't read yet but want to? I started Incandescent by Emily Tesh, and I really was loving that book. I was enthralled. It's very dark academia. It's following a teacher who's like a professor at a university that studies demonology, and she's having some flirtations with one of the guards, and she's very like no nonsense. It felt like I was reading a book about actual just being a teacher at school, but there were demons, and I was really enjoying it. And then my copy of Silverborn came in and I dropped it, and Libby took it back, and so I'm back on the waiting list for that one. Another one is The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. It seems like there's a castle filled with like nuns or monks or something like that, and they are under siege and food is running out. I guess I could look up the synopsis. What's happening here? Ooh, okay. This sounds so good. Hold on. I will read this to you because they obviously pitched it better than I did. Transfixing fever dream of medieval horror following 3 women in a besieged castle that descends ravenously into madness under the spell of mysterious godlike visitors. That's like so much better than I thought it was. I'm really, really wanting to read this. The best sequel you've read so far this year. I reread, stay with me here, Wondersmith and Hollowpox in the Nevermore series. I guess you could also say I read, no, you know what? I was gonna go on about Tahara Mafi's books and This Woven Kingdom, and I am really enjoying those. I swallowed them whole, but they're not the best. The Nevermore series is the best. And I have not finished Silverborn yet, but we can just go ahead. Like, I'm going to finish it in like a day. Like tomorrow I would have a different answer, so I'll just give you that today. The Nevermore series. What is your favorite book that you read this year? I'm gonna give you something different. I promise. I read probably my favorite T. Kingfisher book this year, and that is A Sword Sorceress Comes to Call by Taking Fisher. This was so good. Set a whole new standard for Taking Fisher. It was funny, it was horrible, it was maddening, it hit hard in really specific places. Whew. Very, very good Taking Fisher. Taking Fisher at just like the height for me. She's still being playful, but she's got something to say and she's just saying it ferociously. A clear-cut winner for the books I've already read this year. This will change tomorrow when I finish Silverborn. That is going to be my best book of the first half of the year. I just need to finish it. Right now, in this moment, as I'm looking at you, it's this book. By the time you're actually watching this, it's this book. That's the way of the world. That is also the end of this video. I would love to know your answers for this video. It's one of my favorite parts of filming this video is getting other people's answers to it. I also love watching these from other creators, so go ahead and leave your comments down below. Let me know some of your answers to your favorite books, your most disappointing books. I'd also love to know your book crushes, just because I don't know, that's not talked about very much and it was really fun to kind of talk about. If you can't be bothered to talk to me, then have no fear. You can go ahead and leave an emoji. Let's go ahead and do the water emoji, like the wave for the River Ganga. She had a presence. Whether you do or not, I hope you're enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are, and until next time, bye!